G'day there, I'm Tony Glynn and welcome along to the PGG Wrightson Stud Tour. This week we're back in central Otago. It's pretty bloody cold and we're heading down to Earnscleugh Station to catch up with Alistair Campbell and his team. Earnscleugh Station is home to some of the finest merino wool in the world. They've also got 3 top breeds of cattle. Earnscleugh Station is truly a high country stud operation. Alistair Campbell here at Earnscleugh Station. Whereabouts are we, Alistair?
We're not far from Clyde in central Otago. So typical New Zealand. Hot, dry summers and cold winters.
Fairly vast sort of a property, Alistair. How big is it?
Yeah, it's about 21,000 hectares, going from about 500 feet down the lower country, or I don't know what that is in metres these days, but and up to 5,600 feet at the top.
And stock-wise?
We run about 26,000 stock units, made up of 26,000 merinos, about 700 odd cows and supporting stock.
Keep you fairly busy, and you've been here for quite a few years, Alistair?
Yeah, we came here in 1981.
In the history of Earnscleugh?
It was originally taken up by a fellow called William Morse. He didn't actually have a farm, and he took on a partner called William Laidlaw in 1863, I think it was. And he was there through to about 1890. He took on another partner and the rabbits ate both of them out. Sort of lay idle for about 10 years. A family called Spain's has come here in 1905, and they farmed it through till 1948 when Malvinas bought it, and they were 48 to 81 when we bought it, so it hasn't had a lot of owners, but a lot of those owners were beaten by the rabbits each time.
I don't see many about.
No, well, in our earlier days we were very close to being eaten out by them. 1080 poison wasn't working any longer. They were avoiding the bait, and a program called the Rabbit and Land Management Program was brought in, which was pretty expensive. $2.5 million on one property to bring them under control again. And since then, we've employed full-time rabbiters, and we've managed to keep them under control. They're pretty tidy now, but we will never relax.
Yeah, just keep at them.
Yeah.
So just yourself and Duncan on the place, and a few guys giving you a hand here?
Yeah, Duncan's in charge of all the day-to-day stuff these days, and we've got 3 other shepherds.
And you get a few extras in there for the mustering, the big jobs?
Yeah, just the autumn muster. A lot of people come back for that because it's a fun occasion. We camp out in the hut and tell lies all week. Yeah, we still use horses out there.
So the snow's starting to come in a little bit today, Alistair. When do the stock come off the tops?
The sheep come off the back country in mid-April, and the cows basically stay above the snow line fence until the snow gets deep enough. We've got to get them out. We can't actually get up there ourselves by then, so we send a helicopter in and bring them out.
They start getting fairly used to that? Yeah,
well, it's actually a pretty good proving ground. Anything that's got no doing ability looks like a stick insect when it comes out of there.
Yeah. So you've got a bit of a natural culling system there.
Yeah.
Duncan Campbell here at Earnscleugh. You've been back on the place for a while, Duncan?
About 9 years now.
Yeah. You had a good look around before that?
Yeah, I was overseas for 3 years or so, just travelling around and doing a bit of work here and there. Yeah.
Decided it was time to come back and take over the reins?
Yeah. I was, after a while doing meaningless jobs, you feel like doing something that's going to count.
And so you're doing the overall running of the commercial and stud side of things here?
Yeah. Dad sort of does a fair bit there though, but we sort of run the stud side a bit together, and I run the commercials on our own. So.
You agree on most things?
We seem to, eventually. Normally, we have a bit of a discussion. Normally, we agree in the end. Yeah. And
on the commercial side of things, you'd have some fairly big knobs here. Take a bit of working out.
Yeah. We're running, still running a mob of 5,000 weathers and at just under 10,000 ewes.
Yeah. What sort of numbers are we looking at on the stud side of things with the bulls?
Bulls, we sell about 80 to 85 bulls a year.
Yep.
Depending on the season, how things go. We run about just on 1,100 cattle on this place, and some grazing off at Wedderburn.
There's a few different breeds there.
Yeah, we've got Hereford, Angus and composite cows. Composite are a 4-way cross of Angus, Hereford, Simmental and Geltfie. So we're trying to get as much hybrid vigour as we can and keep it there, so we need to keep recrossing. We can never just go back on themselves, so it's a bit complicated for us, but it's good for the clients because they always get the maximum hybrid vigour.
And the Gelfies, where do they hail from?
Gelfies are a continental breed, very good milkers with a continental sort of carcass on them, which is in very good temperament. So we actually think they've got a lot to offer. They're probably the earliest stage of puberty cattle that there are,
Yep.
and they're very good mothers. The Clay Research Centre in Nebraska came up with those 4 breeds as the ideal 4 breeds for this 4-way cross.
Yep.
So that's where we originally started, and we've tried the odd breed in here and there, but most of them haven't stacked up. So yeah, we've gone back to where we've come from.
Shane Gibbons here at the Warrie. Whereabouts is the Warrie, Shane?
We class ourselves as Te Anau, but we're about 25 minutes south of Te Anau. Sort of below the Blackman Hill, really.
Yep, and it used to be part of a bigger place?
Yeah, it used to be part of Redcliffe Station. About 98, sold 5,000 odd acres to trees, and we kept the better country and a bit of hill country with it. So we've got about 1,700 hectares here now.
Yep, and what are you running here, Shane?
We've got 15,500 stock units. We're running probably 27% of cattle and the rest is sheep.
What are you running in the cattle side of things, Shane?
We're calving 368 cows this year.
And the chosen breed?
We're into the stabilisers or composites.
Yep.
We've been into them for first cross, put a Simmental over Herefords in '99, and then we've been with crossbreeding with the composite since '99. So we've been there for 12, 13 years, and then we've been using Ernsclue composites since then.
Yeah.
We bought about 18 bulls in the last since 2004.
Yeah.
And they've gone really well for us.
So traditionally Hereford country?
Used to be Hereford country, a lot of native country here prior to selling that bit to forestry. We were just looking for a cattle that we could get a bit more out of than the Herefords.
Yeah.
With the crossbreeding and the hybrid vigour, we're hoping to get 20% extra.
And it's obviously working for you there to see the steers and the heifers out there on the crops?
Yeah, no, it's working really well for us. I mean, the positive thing is that the guys that are buying them off us are coming back every year. Yeah. So obviously they're doing pretty well for them. So.
Bit of longevity there with the old fellow down the bottom block there?
Yeah, well, I think that's the key to it, Tony, is to longevity is what we're aiming in the sheep and the cattle here. Yeah. The longer we can. We don't cull for age anymore. If a cow's reared a good calf and she gets back in calf, she stays here. Yeah. We've got a bull here that's probably 8, 9 years old now. We don't tend to use him a hell of a lot because he's coming back over his daughters, but he's still here and he's still 100% sound. So
Ernsclue bull?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, he's been here for day dot. So.
Fairly big bulls there, no trouble in the calving department?
Last year, Tony, we calved 90 heifers and we assisted 2. We think that's pretty good effort. I mean, bulls only going out for 42 days. Yeah. We tend not to chase the low birth weight bulls. I think that's a double up of low birth weight, so you get yourself in trouble. We just go for a good, clean-shouldered, easy-looking calving sort of bull.
You got a cut-off weight for mating the heifers?
Yeah, we try not to mate anything under 320 kilos. Last year they averaged about 335. Yep. I think that's the key to the easier calving, is that if you're trying to grow them out after the bull comes out, you just run into trouble. Yeah. What about your calving percentage? This year it's about 95% calving. We lose the odd one in the swamps and bits and pieces out the back, but other than that, no, 95% is pretty good for us. Yeah. No dries? We get about, this year, including yearlings going to the bull, we had 4.5% dry rate. Another one of that. That's pretty tough November, December here, so no, we're pretty happy with that. Yeah. Fertility-wise, we've had no problems. Graham Hume here at Glenmore Station. You're farming in partnership with your family. Whereabouts are we, Graham?
Garston, the most inland village in New Zealand.
Nice warm place, Garston.
Can be chilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and warm.
And what are you farming here, Graham?
Sheep, deer, beef. Yeah. Herefords, Perrendales.
Pretty steep looking country. What sort of size place are we looking at?
7,500 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah. Running 8,200 ewes. All the cattle altogether comes to 310 and 250 hinds.
Now, so we've got some nice looking heifers behind us. What have we got here, Graham?
Rising 2-year-olds that I just got off the hill. Mostly they come from Ernsclue breeding. Yeah. Where we get our bulls, so you can tell they've got a nice bit of dark colour to them. And
so just looking at these heifers here, do you think they're healthy enough?
Yeah, no, they're in pretty good nick. Maybe just fat enough at the moment. We will probably put them back out the hill and they'll stay out there till July, and they'll lose a little bit of condition and keep them fit for calving, which is the main thing. You don't want to be pulling calves for the rest of your life.
Yeah. You've been getting a fairly good percentage there? Yeah,
no, we usually get about almost 100% calving out of them, which is pretty good.
Nice looking cattle, all right. And you've been going to Ernsclue for a few years?
7 years now. We like their bulls. They shift well, good temperament, which is the main thing, because we sell bull calves for the church family down in Turtapury. They buy about 65, 70 bulls a year.
Yeah.
So they've got to be quiet for the dairy farmers.
Plenty of good Hereford studs out there, Graham. Why keep returning to Ernsclue?
Mainly the shifting ability of them. It's only just over into the Nevis and on top of Ernscleugh there, so the climate's pretty much the same, and they get in calf. That's the main thing. The bulls cover them, and we've been around a few other bull sales and just seem to like the Ernscleugh bulls with their shifting ability and their quietness mainly.
Yeah.
And they're good people.
A few beers with Alistair.
Yeah, well, he likes the odd drop.
So you started out with the horned Herefords in your stud career, but you've expanded a bit now, Alistair?
Yeah, we started the horned Herefords on a previous property I had, probably in the mid-70s. They were for quite a while, and then we realised that we weren't selling enough bulls, and to be economic we need to sell more bulls. The market wasn't big enough, so we expanded into Angus. And then thought that the composite thing had some value, and so we went to that later stage. So we run the three of them now. Each different stud has its strengths. I mean, if you want temperament on Hereford rooms, Royal Supreme in that. Angus with their carcass traits and extremely popular at the moment, and composites just with the hybrid vigour background in them, extremely good performance.
They all seem to get on fairly well together.
Yes, not a problem. I mean, some clients have their differences and they have their likes and dislikes, but at least it covers the field a bit and gives us more options in one breed.
Yeah.
Makes us a lot more open-minded. We can see the strengths and weaknesses of all the different breeds.
So Duncan, with the three breeds here on the cattle side of things, you're obviously not that breed specific. You want to breed good cattle.
Yeah, I think more than what's on the outside of a cattle beast, we're all breeding for the meat, really. So it seems there's a lot of emphasis put into coat colour and things like these that are, not really making you any money at all.
Yeah.
So we just like to see a good cattle beast. Good bone and fat and ability to do in these countries, and still getting calf with cows. We only mate everything that's 300 or over on the day the bull goes out. So the heifers have spent that time out in the hill there. We never winter feed them or anything like that. So we think they do pretty well to get to that weight on this country. I think it's a good proving ground for genetics. They're actually going to work on harder country.
Don Clark farming here at Carrick Station at Bannockburn. You've been in the area for a while, Don?
Yeah, I'd come down in 1961, April, and Dad bought the place off Ritchie's. In 77 I bought my brothers out, so I've been farming here on my own since 1977.
You go right into the Nevis?
Yeah, we've got 10,000 acres opposite the township of the Nevis, boundary Knockamai Station, and we boundary Glen Erie and out in the high country. It's about 6,000 odd feet where we run the wethers in the summertime. And there's a dock block in Earnscleugh. There's a corner of 5 stations come into a corner up there.
So you're going right into the Nevis there, Don. The cattle would have to be fairly hardy.
There's about 80 cows there, which they stay there in the winter. We don't feed them, we just cart the bulls over and dump them in the spring with the cows and run them in and wean them and bring them over the yards. We do bugger all with them. Last winter we had a lot of snow in there, about 3 foot. The cows cut through the snow and opens tracks up for the wethers to walk through too, you see. But they're in very, very good order. They're fat as seals at the moment, so they've got, like as Alistair Campbell said the other day, they're carrying a bale of hay on their back.
Yeah.
So when the rough weather comes and snow and that, they've got a lot of reserves to pull down.
And some nice young bulls out there we saw.
We bought a bull the other day from Alistair, the good one, and he won't go into the Nevis till we put 4 and 5 year old bulls. We try and get the same bulls going back every year because they know the country. They've got to walk perhaps 7 or 8 k's up the river and climb away up the hill, and the bulls get to know where the cows are. So till one of them tips up or the neighbour's bull comes through and has a fight and wrecks them, we try and put the same bulls back in there.
Yeah.
Not so much on this side because we can handle them in here in smaller mobs, but over there because they've got to know the country and we don't want them to wander out of the area.
And you've been returning to Earnscleugh for a few years now to get the bulls?
Oh, you've always bought bulls from Earnscleugh from day one. He's always, since he's gone into the blacks, I don't know how long he's been going into the blacks. Prior to that, we bought some from Kofi, stringers down in Galway.
Fairly handy to Earnscleugh for you.
Oh yeah, well the thing is, he's just over the hill there.
Yeah.
And not only that, the main thing is, with Alistair, you know, if you get trouble with bulls, he's got spare bulls that he lends you. And that's why you always go back.
Yeah.
We always go down before the sale and to Alistair, and he takes us around and he tells us what he thinks is the best. Like the bull we bought this year, we paid 12 grand for it. But it was the highest bull at the sale, but it was a bloody good bull.
Yeah.
And not only that, when you sell calves, in Cromwell there, they know that the breeding's in there if you're buying, selling heifers and that. People can go and buy confident knowing they're well-bred stock.
Keith Wilson with PGG Wrightson here at Omakau. You warm enough, Keith?
Not really at the minute.
You see the frost this morning.
Yeah.
Now, Keith, you're working fairly closely with the team at Ernsclue. How are you involved there?
Basically, I give Alistair and Duncan a hand to liaise with their clients. They're busy people on the farms, and I've got a pretty good network of clientele in South Island, so I work in with their clients.
You've just recently had the bull sale there at Earnscleugh. You have some fairly good clients rounded up there, Keith.
We're very pleased with the bull sale on the 1st of June. Had a real good clearance, and everyone got what they wanted. Well, the Herefords is quite exciting this year. Alistair and Duncan have bought the Stanfield Bushy Park Hereford stud, and that has put a lot into our stud and got us a lot of new clientele. We're selling all polled Herefords now, which has simplified our operation. The Angus, they're all above the herd average, and we had a complete clearance of Anguses, so very happy there. And our composites are going from strength to strength. A lot of real good operators with the composites, both maternal and terminals. Alistair and Duncan have done a lot of work with gene markers in their merinos, and now I've got merinos with Loin Max, Maya Max, so I'm very keen on following that up for them, and I think it's going to go a long way.
So a few different lines of merino there, Alistair?
Yeah, well, there's probably 7 separate studs within the stud, so probably got a foot in every camp.
Yeah.
Starting from the finest edge, we have the Ernscleugh ultrafine part, plus we also run the ultrafine merino company flock here. The aim is to basically breed the finest sheep in the world, because there's a big premium for the finest bales in the world.
Yeah.
So we use every bit of technology we can to drive that finer. So the aim is to maintain fleece weight and maintain body weight, but drive micron finer. We've driven it to the extent now that in the Merino Select database in Australia, almost all the top 150 size for micron are either Earnscleugh or the ultrafine company. So our genetics have been used worldwide, which has been a really good benefit of the breeding value system, and that people can look them up, and we've sold ultrafine genetics into all the states of Australia and Uruguay and Argentina. So
good to see you giving those Aussies a run for their money.
It's a big turnaround from us always buying from them. So have them come back and buy from here, that's been quite good.
Yeah. And the other groups you got there?
Yeah, well, superfines, our aim there is to reduce micron, increase fleece weight, maintain body weight, increase staple strength, and keep very stylish wools. Yeah, we started poles 7 or 8 years ago. We're sort of always looking for the new niche, and we thought the new niche was going to be a high fertility merino with a big carcass. And so we started with that aim, and so the aim there is to increase lambing, increase carcass weight, have fast growing sheep to yearling stage, and cut a big icebreaker type wool, predominantly in the sort of high 18 microns through to 21 micron. It's lifted from being none of our sales to 40% of our ram sales last year, so it's travelling really quick.
And you've been playing around with a few genes there, Alistair?
Yeah, so we thought to fast track some of the things. I mean, we knew that they had muscle genes and crossbreds, and so we looked into that a bit, and both that and the Embadel gene for a fast track high fertility. So the gene mobs, we've brought Loin Max and Myo Max in, and we had to use crossbred rams to do that, and we had to gene test them each year to see. Only half of them carry the gene, so we lose half every year, so we're actually back to 99% merino in those again, and they're quite hard to tell they're not merinos any longer, but you certainly can see the extra muscle on them. Then with the Embadel gene, it's a high fertility gene, adds 30% more lambs to what any person is getting now, unflushed, and 50% more flushed. Yeah. There are some problems with Inverdale gene. We probably won't sell rams from that. We'll probably get clients to breed ewe lambs, which will be on sold to other people to just breed, so they buy their replacements in each year.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you double cross the Inverdale gene, you get a double copy, and 50% of the ewes will be infertile. But the first cross are all highly fertile. Yeah.
Now, the breeding values you find quite important, Alistair?
Yes, well, we'd always had them with our cattle, and we realised how important they were in cattle, and we started with them in New Zealand with the Animal Breeding Trust, and that swung into Sil, and then we decided that was a bit stupid. Most of our genetic base was in Australia, so we shipped it to Merino Select in Australia, and they've had a really, really big impact. It's, our commercial flocks lifted 0.7 of a kilo, it had half a micron finer. With the advent of breeding values, now that wasn't only just the figures, it was the fact that we realised our bloodline wasn't great. But also we've swung in, we've used an Australian sheep classer, Sandy McCurdy. That keeps us on the straight and narrow. If we start thinking figures too much, he brings us back to ground again.
So Sandy McCurdy, you're a sheep classer from Australia. What's a sheep classer, Sandy?
Well, a sheep classer is employed in Australia mostly by the studs. We help to direct people in their planning, their breeding objectives.
So how many years have you been coming to Ernsclue, Sandy?
I'm not sure. I think it's about 12 years. Of the top 150 finest rams on the Australasian database, that's for estimated breeding value for fineness. I think Ernscleugh has about 145 of them.
That's not fair.
So it gives you some idea of what the combination of breeding objectives and the use of data can do in an animal breeding program. You know, we've made some tremendous progress.
Yeah. Do you wish that you had this technology that we've got when you started?
I wish that I had believed in the data. And so therefore I wish now that we'd not only had it but used it a long time ago. And I'm sure, like in the other animal industries where objective measurement has been used successfully, you might ask yourself why it hasn't been used more in the merino industry, and I think it's because sheep people think that they know best. I'm not sure, but the combination of the two things are fantastic. And some people think that if you're a data man that you can't possibly have good sheep. You know, they're going to have 3 legs or 2 heads, or I'm not sure what they think, but it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of having the policy to have reliable data and use it, and in combination with all the visual issues that go with breeding animals.
So you get confidence in the data when you look at those rams?
This is the thing that is so important, because if the data and what you see doesn't match up, you do lose confidence, and you then ask yourself, is the data reliable? Is it data that we can actually make use of? What we found here and on other places where people take great care and thoroughness in preparation of their data, what you see and what you get in the data more or less match, and it gives you great confidence to make use of it. Yeah, you know, I've probably made more mistakes than anybody, but then I've made a lot of decisions too.
Yeah, that's your job. So with the EBVs, not losing sight on any of the basic stuff, Duncan?
No, we're pretty careful that anything that doesn't look like a sheep is culled. The breeding values only come into it once the sheep is okay. So yeah, I think the two things don't have to be separate there. Yeah.
And you've just recently had the Merino tour here. How'd that go?
Yeah, good. We had a good crowd. A good day. So yeah, it's good for people to have a look around and see what we're doing. And yeah.
So Alistair, people talk about running cattle and sheep in commercial conditions. Would you call that commercial conditions out there under that white stuff?
Yeah, I read all these ads and articles all over New Zealand. Every stud in New Zealand is actually running very commercial conditions, but I think we probably do that better than most.
So you think they'll shift and do?
I mean, they're genuinely in commercial conditions.
Yeah.
They're really tested. Yeah. And we believe that any animal should be bred on country similar to what it's going to finish on. So our aim has always been to breed stock for the high country, off high country.
And when are you going to chuck it in?
Well, when Duncan must be looking over his shoulder now saying it's time for me to go. He makes a lot of the decisions now anyway. We're very careful that we share the genetic decisions.
Yeah.
So, it's great to have him home and keen.
Yeah.
For him.
And then you'll be off to the golf club and away to the gold trial.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. For more information on the PGG Wrightson Stud Tour, visit ruraltv.co.nz and come and join us on Facebook.